Perfect World Episode 192. Shirhao faced the strongest heavenly tribulation in history. He had successfully cultivated his third immortal aura and reached the mid-stage of the true god realm. Picking up from where we left off, Shirhao was cornered by 7 celestial gods. Just when everyone believed he was doomed, he shook the heavens by triggering the most terrifying lightning tribulation ever recorded. The celestial gods trembled, filled with extreme fear. The lightning tribulation contained a dense curse power, posing a fatal threat to them. No one anticipated Shirhao's decisiveness, his willingness to sacrifice his own life to fight against the celestial gods. The terrifying lightning tribulation was unlike anything seen before. Each dazzling bolt was thicker than a mountain. Normally, a typical Gauffire realm cultivator wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, Shirhao had recently tempered his physical body, making it stronger than ever. Lightning struck the celestial gods, tearing their flesh and causing black blood to flow continuously, a gruesome sight. Ma Yuan, believing himself doomed, roared and lunged at Shirhao, hoping to eliminate him before the tribulation struck him down. But Shirhao stood at the center of the lightning tribulation, surrounded by endless, erupting curse power. As Ma Yuan approached, a bolt of lightning struck his head, mangling his body and blasting him away. The curse eroded his skull, inflicting unimaginable damage. Everyone witnessing this from afar was terrified, goosebumps rising on their skin. A celestial god-level expert was so vulnerable. Several other celestial gods attempted to flee, but they couldn't escape. 2 primordial chaos mosquitoes, having gone berserk, chased them relentlessly. Though outside the range of the lightning tribulation, the mosquitoes had sealed off the area. Any celestial god attempting to escape the tribulation would be attacked by the 2 primordial mosquitoes. Long K was the first to break through, ripping through the sky with his celestial wings. But a primordial chaos mosquito flashed forward, rushing towards him with incredible speed. It pierced his body and burrowed inside. Long K screamed in agony as his essence blood was devoured. His body withered, and he broke free from the primordial mosquito, stumbling back into the lightning tribulation. He was struck by heavenly lightning, and the curse engulfed him completely. His forehead cracked, his flesh and blood turning into gore. Only a skeleton remained, and even his celestial bones began to rot. His primordial spirit, upon escaping, couldn't evade the lightning tribulation and dispersed, perishing completely. Everyone trembled with fear. A high and mighty celestial god had been reduced to ashes by the curse, and the cause of his death was a youth in the Gauffire realm. The scene seemed surreal. However, Shirhao was in immense pain from the lightning strikes and lamented the waste of such a delicacy, the delicious Long K meat, now ruined. A celestial god angrily rebuked Shirhao, "You deserve to be struck by lightning. Just wait for your death." Grimacing, Shirhao retorted, "You old turtles can all go to hell. I won't die. What can you do to me?" At this point, both sides were suffering immensely. Though Shirhao was also invaded by the curse power, he wasn't a native of this world and wouldn't immediately succumb and die. But the celestial gods were extremely panicked, refusing to die at the hands of a junior. It would be a huge joke if word got out. They had to escape, no matter the cost. The celestial gods made a desperate attempt to break out. But the primordial chaos mosquitoes, seemingly having gained some intelligence, blocked their escape. Ma Yuan screamed. He had attempted to escape from the other side while the others created a diversion. But another primordial chaos mosquito stabbed him in half, completely severing his body. Fleeing back, he was struck by the lightning tribulation again. Endless curses entered his body, and in an instant, he was reduced to a skeleton. His primordial spirit was about to dissipate. Seeing this, Shirhao stomped down with lightning and curses, shouting, "Old Ma, let me send you off." With a pop, Ma Yuan's skull shattered, his primordial spirit dispersed, and he was reduced to ashes. Shirhao was also severely injured. The lightning tribulation blasted him away, his mangled flesh emitting a burnt smell. The other celestial gods were in even worse shape. The curse had eroded their bodies, leaving them almost fleshless. Outside, the The two primordial chaos mosquitoes refused to leave, making the celestial gods feel helpless. Even if they escaped, they would perish upon returning to their clans because the curse within their bodies had been triggered by the lightning tribulation. Unwilling to simply wait for death, they had to try, even if there was only a sliver of hope. Dikuin declared fiercely, "I don't believe these two primordial mosquitoes can hold us all back." The other celestial gods agreed. They all acted together, charging in different directions. Despite his severe injuries, Shirhao charged forward with lightning and curses, fighting desperately. He wasn't trying to keep everyone there, but was targeting the golden ancient toad. With a thud, the golden ancient toad's back was struck by the lightning tribulation. Instantly engulfed by the curse, its flesh began to rot. The golden ancient toad roared. He tried his best to escape the lightning tribulation, but was severely injured. Finally, his body exploded, and his primordial spirit, filled with resentment and grief, exploded in the void. He was destroyed. Meanwhile, Gu Yuan was the first to break through the encirclement, but a primordial chaos mosquito pierced his body. Drained of his essence blood, he continued to flee. As he escaped, Gu Yuan's flesh rapidly decayed. After fleeing for 100 miles, he had become a terrifying skeleton. Fortunately, he managed to escape the primordial chaos mosquitoes. He looked back at Shirhao with a cold stare. Shirhao naturally wouldn't tolerate this. He quickly pursued Gu Yuan, wielding heavenly lightning. With a crack, Gu Yuan's skull rotted under the curse, leaving almost nothing but his primordial spirit. He didn't dare stay any longer and fled towards his dwelling. Even so, Gu Yuan's physical body was already ruined, and his primordial spirit couldn't resist the curse. Then, Qiu Long's scream echoed. His attempt to break through had failed. A primordial chaos mosquito pierced his head, killing him instantly. Thus, Long Ke, Ma Yuan, Qiu Long, and the golden ancient toad, for celestial gods, had all perished. Of the 7 celestial gods, only Di Kuan, Wu Yuan, and Pai Xiu escaped. A moment later, the 2 primordial chaos mosquitoes also left. Seeing this, Shirhao immediately used a breaking barrier talisman and crossed the void to pursue the celestial gods. This action shocked the onlookers. They had never heard of anyone undergoing a tribulation and then crossing the void to pursue celestial gods. Shirhao's situation was actually very critical. He didn't even know how many bones he had broken. But he didn't want to leave any future trouble and wanted to take this opportunity to resolve all the problems. Pai Xiu was the last to escape, so Shirhao quickly caught up to him and arrived at Pai Xiu's tribe. But to Shirhao's surprise, Pai Xiu didn't fight him. Pai Xiu knew his time was running out, so after asking Shirhao not to harm his tribe, his body began to disintegrate. His primordial spirit dispersed and finally vanished. Shirhao turned and left, sparing Pai Xiu's tribe. He then arrived at Yuan Mountain. Gu Yuan was sitting cross-legged outside, extremely weak. He opened his eyes weakly, grabbed a war spear, and charged at Shirhao. Shirhao quickly dodged and used a guardian talisman to block the attack. Just then, a ferocious bolt of heavenly tribulation descended. Shirhao's face paled as he withdrew the guardian talisman and quickly fled. With a boom, a huge black hole was blasted into that area. Gu Yuan was sent flying, coughing up blood. Finally, Gu Yuan's bones completely rotted, his primordial spirit eroded, and he ultimately vanished. Shirhao was lucky to have avoided that tribulation. He suspected that the lightning bolt could probably kill a celestial god directly. He then didn't hesitate and pursued Di Kuan again, wielding lightning. This was a valley made of bronze buildings, each one incredibly magnificent. Di Kuan was sitting cross-legged in the bronze hall, resisting the curse. Shirhao's voice was hoarse as he endured the intense pain. He told Di Kuan to send his people away. He didn't want to involve the innocent. However, Di Kuan's gaze was icy, filled with intense hatred and resentment. He said, "I was the strongest disciple of the Immortal Hall, ordered by the Patriarch to establish myself in the Immortal Bone Realm and slowly plot our rise. But I became trapped here and never achieved greatness." Shirhao was stunned. He hadn't expected that Di Kun hadn't stayed willingly, but had been following orders. In Shihao's view, the Immortal Hall's plans were futile. Di Kun was eroded by the curse and could only leave a few times a year. That's why he couldn't achieve his ambitions. Di Kun laughed coldly. Knowing he wouldn't survive, he quickly charged at Shihao, wanting to drag him down with him. At this moment, Di Kun stopped defending, allowing the curse to spread and unleashing his celestial god laws. But in the next moment, his face was filled with terror. The lightning tribulation had become immense, and the curse power had intensified tenfold. In an instant, Di Kun's bones rotted away, and his primordial spirit was reduced to ashes. He was completely annihilated. Although Shihao had fled immediately, he was still heavily impacted. His body was mangled, and he almost perished along with Di Kun. But at that moment, Shihao felt like he was about to break through. His whole body glowed, a powerful aura emanating from him. He was about to ascend to the true god realm. Almost instantly, Shihao's body unleashed endless potential. His flesh became crystalline and suddenly radiant. Accompanied by the sound of a pipa, Shihao's broken bones reconnected. His body was nourished and quickly healed. He realized this was his last moment in the Godfire realm. Whether he could cultivate his third immortal aura depended on this. The heavenly tribulation became even fiercer. He could vaguely see the lightning transforming into various creatures. It was extremely terrifying. With a boom, endless lightning erupted, the earth shattering with a deafeningly loud roar. A vast expanse, nothing could be seen but the terrifying heavenly punishment. Massive bolts of lightning struck Shihao, clanging like striking iron, sparks flying everywhere. The onlookers in the distance were stunned, completely dumbfounded. They couldn't believe Shihao's physical body could withstand such a tribulation. If it were anyone else, they would have already been reduced to ashes. This was a demonstration of Shihao's astonishing abilities, now that he had recovered to peak condition. However, Shihao wasn't careless. He knew the most terrifying part of the tribulation was yet to come. One wrong move could mean life or death. To resist the heavenly tribulation, he had to unleash his full potential. Only then could his physical body withstand the onslaught without breaking. It was said that in the Immortal Valley era, those who survived the most terrifying lightning tribulations would directly cultivate an immortal aura, reaching the pinnacle of cultivation. But Shihao could barely suppress his power. He was about to break through, but the third immortal aura was still nowhere to be seen. He hadn't taken that legendary step, leaving him extremely disappointed. His worst fear came true. Above the void, lightning crackled, now in complete turmoil. Some creatures within the Sea of Lightning seemed to come alive, gaining souls. Then, a gigantic Taodai appeared, as if it wanted to devour everything. It stepped out of the lightning clouds and lunged at Shihao. Suffering a terrifying blow from the Taodai, Shihao's flesh split open, blood gushing out. He stumbled backward, hair disheveled, under the terrifying lightning tribulation. Then, Shihao straightened up, his gaze sharp as he stared at the Taodai. He decided that if the third immortal aura wouldn't appear, he wouldn't force it. He would unleash his full power, releasing his remaining essence, energy, and spirit to break through to the true God realm. Shihao became incredibly ferocious, feeling stronger than ever before. Dancing with the lightning, he punched through the Taodia's forehead. Just then, he was surprised to discover a faint wisp of immortal aura slowly condensing outside his body. It was about to manifest. The heavenly tribulation became even more violent. An endless sea of lightning crashed down, engulfing Shihao. At this moment, his hair stood on end. It felt like his heart would stop beating. His instincts told him disaster was imminent. He might perish there. As expected, an unimaginably powerful bolt of lightning hurtled towards him. He could vaguely see many creatures roaring within the Sea of Lightning, all incredibly terrifying. In an instant, the entire Sea of Lightning crashed down on him, feeling heavier than 1,000,000 mountains. Shihao coughed up blood, bones breaking all over his body. Countless creatures roared, lunging at him. Even more terrifying, A golden celestial steel descended from the sky, covered in endless runes, suppressing him. Cracking sounds emanated from within Shirhao's body. His bones shattered. He struggled to resist, raising his fists to strike. All his blows landed on the celestial steel. But Shirhao was severely injured by the boundless lightning and sent flying. Crimson blood rained down. This celestial steel was extraordinary. Countless creatures worshipped around it. It contained terrifying power and could unleash the strongest lightning. The celestial steel suppressed Shirhao again, pushing him down inch by inch. The entire void trembled as if to crush him. Shirhao roared. He wouldn't surrender. He clashed with the celestial steel again, swinging his fists, all his blows landing on the steel. A rumbling sound echoed. Tiny cracks appeared. At the same time, Shirhao fully entered the true god realm. The faint immortal aura became clearer, about to take shape. As a corner of the celestial steel broke off, a bright blade of light rose, piercing the sky. It was incredibly sacred. Everyone stared, filled with terror. The golden celestial steel toppled over, a guillotine blade emerging from within, so bright it was hard to look at directly. The guillotine blade was terrifying, possessing unfathomable power. Before Shirhao could react, he was swept up by the guillotine blade. He vaguely heard a grand voice, feeling that everything was formed by rules, including the guillotine blade and this Dharma sound. Then, a splash of blood. Shirhao was cut in two. He felt excruciating pain. Not only his physical body, but even his primordial spirit was severed. Most terrifyingly, the immortal aura outside his body was also severed by the blade. This great Dao guillotine didn't just kill people, it also killed laws and the Dao. On both sides of the great Dao guillotine, countless creatures wailed and worshipped, treating Shirhao as a sacrifice. At this moment, Shirhao roared at the sky, filled with resentment. He was incredibly unwilling. The third immortal aura he had worked so hard to cultivate had been severed by this unknown power. Clearly, the Great Dao Guillotine was the most terrifying tribulation in the Immortal Valley era. Generally, it was reserved for those experts attempting to cultivate their third immortal aura. Overcoming it meant reaching a higher level. Failure meant life or death. Therefore, the Great Dao Guillotine was known as the strongest heavenly tribulation. Shirhao ignited himself. His two immortal auras emerged, forcefully reassembling his physical body within the sea of lightning. Now, every piece of his flesh contained the power of lightning. Although charred, once he overcame this tribulation, he was destined to be reborn, reaching a new level. Shirhao roared, his physical body and primordial spirit reuniting. Two immortal auras nourished his body. His blood surged. This was a life or death test. Around him, countless time fragments danced. Shirhao wielded the reincarnation fist, attacking violently. In an instant, space-time was disrupted. The Great Dao Guillotine transformed back into the celestial steel and blurred in the void, completely disappearing into the sea of lightning. Shirhao had successfully overcome the tribulation. He had cultivated his third immortal aura. It was white as jade, coiling around his body, mysterious and powerful. The appearance of his third immortal aura was not only a limit in this era, but also in hundreds of millions of eras. It was the ultimate limit. At the same time, the third immortal aura also held special significance. As the saying goes, the Tao begets one, one begets two, two begets three, and three begets all things. This aligned with a certain trajectory, resonating with the Tao. It would lead to unimaginable transformations in the future. It was the embodiment of ultimate strength. Now a true god, Shirhao's flesh pulsed intensely, his bones crackling. An astonishing power emanated from his flesh, repairing his body. In an instant, all of his previous injuries were healed. His vital energy surged, rising like smoke signals into the sky, piercing the sea of lightning. This was a true god, able to absorb the primordial essence of heaven and earth. He drew in the remaining lightning, rapidly converting it into his own energy. As Shirhao grew stronger, all the onlookers were astonished. He had just broken through, and he had already become a mid-stage true god expert. This was monstrous. In fact, Shihao had already reached the great perfection of the Godfire realm. But in order to cultivate his immortal auras, he had been suppressing his power. Now, with this breakthrough, his cultivation soared from the initial stage to the mid-stage. He defied the heavens, overpowering and dominant. Please give us a like and subscribe, fellow Taoists. Let's continue our chat in the next episode.